I'm making this post as a warning. Please read this, so you don't too end up in this new false reality that I'm currently suffering in. The reason I call it new is that I can't even be sure that I'm still in your planet anymore. If by any chance I am, then it's in the other side of it. I don't mean in the other side of the planet itself, but in its own little reflection in space. See, when you look into a mirror, you see a reflection of yourself, and the background around you. Every single color in the universe can be replicated inside of a mirror. If you look past the dust, cracks, and scratches, it's perfectly identical in every way. If it wasn't for your exact duplicate mimicking all your moves and actions, it seems viable to just jump right in. But it's just a flat surface, right? It's just an illusion created by light in your eye. Behind each and every mirror, it's just a backside, the back of the frame. Under the surface of the ocean, there's just the water itself. It's not logical for something to just be where nothing is. Well, I thought that too, at first. It was around 1 in the morning, or 2 or 3 or whatever the hell the time was, I can't really remember. My mouth was feeling parched, so I got out of bed to have a nice glass of tap water from the bathroom sink. With all the distractions in the day, I guess you truly notice how hungry you are or how dry your mouth feels when you're alone in your thoughts just staring up at the popcorn ceiling pretending you're asleep. In my hazy half-asleep state, I didn't even bother to turn the light on when I got there. I turned the knob of the sink that sent a nice stream of icy cold water from the faucet. I grabbed a plastic cup nearby that I used to rinse my mouth up and filled it till it was nearly full. I didn't know if it was the cool sensation of the warmth in my body being replaced by the new feeling of chilliness or some strange creak I heard downstairs, but I do remember something made me feel uneasy. As the feeling of sleepiness faded away as the feeling of weariness set in, I started to inspect the surroundings and think what made me feel so uneasy. Okay, there's the shower curtain, no way someone behind it. I didn't hear a door open or a window smash, so I doubt there's any possible intruders. My dad is asleep, so that's out of the picture. There's the mirror in front of me, which I could still see despite the lack of proper lighting. An ordinary bathroom mirror, oval shape, showing the metal shelf and towel rack stood behind me. It was exactly like my bathroom now. Of course, none of that is really there, like I said before, just an illusion. But it's not what was there that bothered me, it was what wasn't. Myself. I started to panic a bit, mind racing with possible explanations. I wasn't there, I could see everything perfectly clear behind myself. Was I invisible? I can see my hands, so I guess not. I'm no way in hell a vampire. I don't think I'm dreaming. I'm not tired enough to truly be hallucinating. Fear was starting to crawl in, as it was late at night, and I've never seen or even heard of something like this occurring before. Out of instinct and disbelief, I put my hand out on the glass. As I did, it went fully through. It was like the mirror wasn't even there. It felt like a hole was carved out into another room, but it wasn't a hole. The scratches and small stains were still there. If this was some kind prank, it was a fairly expensive and well-done one. My dad wouldn't have made a damn hole in the wall for shits and giggles. Nothing made sense. But curiosity got the better of my fear. I guess when you're a 17-year-old kid, you only see how cool something is, instead of the dangers hidden behind it. Before I knew it, I was already on the other side. I had climbed onto the sink and crawled right in on all fours. I don't even remember landing. I knew I was in, though, because everything felt familiar, yet so different and unknown. It was like staring at someone you only half recognize. The shelf was there, the towel rack was there, the shower and the shower curtain too. The otherworldly mirror showed the same thing, too. It showed the water running that I didn't bother to turn off. Even my reflection was there. I saw it. My reflection. In the fucking mirror. Repeating the motions I did. It had returned, and has taken my spot in where I previously was. I stayed there staring at it for God knows how long. After too long of this bullshit, I finally lost it. I felt genuine fear inside. I tried to get out. I tried clawing at the mirror, I tried punching it, I even threw the damn soup dispenser at it. It bounced off the mirror and nearly shattered on the floor, almost hitting me back. I was shouting too, probably profanities. Out of frustration, I slammed my back into the wall and sunk into the floor with my knees curled up to my chest as I yelled with my hands on either side of the head. My head was throbbing, and a pain in my chest started forming as anxiety took over. This couldn't be happening, this wasn't happening, none of this could be real, but the pain on my back from the hard impact was, but I didn't know if that was even enough to convince me I wanted out. I wanted to get the fuck out. I was going to jump headfirst into that fucking mirror even if I broke my damn skull doing. What the fuck are you doing? I turned to my right. I saw my dad at the doorway. Under his short brown hair and wrinkles on his forehead, I could tell he was mad. It's 4 in the fucking morning, and you're here making these goddamn noises. Are you fucking insane? He was seriously pissed. I don't properly think I've seen him this angry before. Looking at his face, though, everything felt wrong about it. I can't explain what was, but it just looked disfigured without it trying to be. The smallest things were off, from his small brown mustache, to his eyebrows. Looking into his eyes, they almost didn't feel human. It was like an off-brand item trying to mimic the real thing. I just couldn't see my dad and whatever figure was standing at the bathroom's doorway. I had to respond to this figure though. I sniffed my nose and started speaking. Why yeah. I just had a horrible nightmare. I'm good now, don't worry. He spoke back, I guess less furious than before. One hell of fucking nightmare. Get your ass back to bed. I did as he said, but I didn't bother sleeping. I was tired, but after the events that transpired, I wasn't able to sleep. I was thinking all night, but what's there to even think? There's nothing I can really do. I don't know what's going on, or how to fix this. It's obvious logic doesn't apply in what just happened. I tried looking at Google for a solution. It took me a bit of searching and getting used to flipped text, even entering my password took longer than it normally does, but I think I'm onto something. Mirror world or mirror dimension is apparently a world similar to ours geography-wise and scale-wise. Some argue that the only thing stopping one from entering is your own self. When you try to enter, your other you tries to enter into your world at the same time. If someone were to be able to, for example, become a ghost, then theoretically nothing blocks you from entering. But I'm not dead, at least I don't think I am. No, I'm not dead. I'm still alive, and I need to get back to my real world. I was thinking about this until it became 6 a.m., and my dad was getting ready for work. Sleep wasn't going to be an option, so I just stood up to give the bathroom mirror another try. I passed him in the hallway, with his suit on, ready to work at the hotel he was employed in a couple months ago. Hey listen, I'm sorry about what happened last night. If you ever want to talk about it, or even schedule an appointment with a psychologist, please tell me. I nodded my head, and soon after, he left. Something about the way he quickly apologized felt quick and a little unbelievable, but I shrugged it off. I got other things to worry about more. When getting back to the mirror, I didn't notice anything off. It was completely ordinary to any other mirror before. The uneasiness of its image and the reflection was still there, though. After thinking all night long, there's only one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to break it. I went to grab a hammer from the garage. Going down the stairs, it felt odd holding the banister with my left hand instead of my right. I almost accidentally went into the wrong room, even while finding the garage, though. I passed a window on the way there, and the view outside made me stop. It was unfathomable. Once again, the strange dreamlike effect set in. It just felt off. Everything was like how I remembered it, sort of, but it just wasn't it. It wasn't my neighborhood. This wasn't my house, and this wasn't my planet. I almost started to argue to myself whether I was still me. Seeing out this window, it almost made me lucid again. But I needed to get home, so I pulled myself together and closed the curtains. After finding the old, rusty hammer, I rushed back upstairs to do the job. I looked at that mirror for another solid minute contemplating whether or not this was a good decision. But I was determined. I was curious. I was desperate. 7 years of bad luck didn't seem so bad if I would be returning to my own house to serve it. To my real home. I raised the tool up and started praying this would work. I exhaled and sent the object flying forwards in front of me. I don't know if I was imagining it or not though, but for a split second, I swear my reflection was grinning. I heard the impact and glass started scattering, littering the sink and floor, and whatever else had a surface. And soon after, blood started to flow from my hand. I started screaming. The pain was agonizing. I've never actually been stabbed before, but it felt like my whole hand was on fire. A fire that I couldn't stop, and covering my hand only made it worse as I further pushed the shards in, bringing a new wave of pain through my whole body. I don't know how big they were or how deep they were, all I knew was that my hand was filled with them, and I was bleeding. I know what I should have done was to bandage it and call 911, but I couldn't think and focus. All I could do delicately press my arm onto my chest, and stay there standing in that bathroom. After what felt like 30 minutes of this hell, I grabbed one of the towels to cover my hand carefully in it, but it was already stained with blood. Have I used it before? Was I starting to lose track of time? I don't care anymore. It was a miracle that I didn't pass out from blood lost. What did I even gain out of this? A broken mirror, an injury, and probably the loss of a ticket out of this. I used to mock film characters for their typical horror movie stupidity, but after this incident, I don't think it's fair to criticize them. Well, most of them. I don't think I'm going to bleed out. If I was, I would have done it already. Whether it's the loss of blood or just fear, I'm starting to lose sense of direction. Left is right, up is down, and every time I try to walk back, it feels like I'm walking forward into the sink. Or was it backwards into the sink? Either way, my sense of logic wasn't cooperating with me. I saw a shard of glass on the edge of the sink. Inside it was my face being shown back, but not crying and grimacing like I actually was, but smiling at me, almost like it was taunting me and the condition I was in. It then left the shard. He or it was gone, out of the way. It didn't matter though, none of the shards were big enough to fit in. I tried to make my way downstairs, but I could barely walk. Each step felt warped in perspective, and after only a couple steps, I fell down the stairs. Luckily, my back and shoulder took most of the hits rather than my hand. I looked out the window, and I saw people, only, they weren't outside. They were in the reflection of the window, all of them laughing at me, and smiling at my demise. Family members, friends, even pets I used to have, all of them in the same spot, yet I could distinguish all of them and their warped appearance. My phone is cracked, but I still feel like I need to type this, even if it takes hours. I'm glad that it still works. I just hope the internet is still universal. I locked myself in the garage, where I can't see any reflections. I'm not welcomed here. I feel like I've been in here for too long, and now the people around me are only an illusion based on those in the real world. The walls are evenly starting to slowly join in on the deafening chorus. I want to use the rest of my sanity left to warn everyone reading this. It's getting harder to type and my fingers feel like they aren't mine. Please, if you ever see a mirror that is missing your reflection, then for the love of God,